talk about that, let's start with that because I want to build on the problems you're having in moving or being in what you call your body. And my class is about trying to address those issues. So
my, where the river gets stuck.
That's a good way to say it.
It's usually my left jaw and my left hip is really tight. And then I've been in a car accident, so my neck, when I work too much, hurts sometimes. But right now, I don't have pain. I just kind of know, like if I look, I can find it. If I try to sit, I can see my right leg's much more open than my left. But I'm not really feeling any pain right now, which is good.
Have you suffered pain
In the
in
past.
your life?
Oh, yeah.
And you had a car accident when?
04, so 6
04? Hi, come on in.
Brain
Lars?
neck.
That's what I need to know is your trauma history. So we'll let Lars get settled and then go more into it.
Hi, Lars.
So just sit down. I'm just starting with questions about what's going on, what's your history of trauma, and what's going on. No, don't turn it off. Maybe sit back over that way.
Turn this way.
Yeah, well, I want it towards the center of the room. So if you don't like it, move back out of the field. Back over there. Okay, so you had a car accident in 04. Was there any other earlier life-damaging things, falling off a bicycle?
Not super bad. I've gone over the front of the handlebars of a bike, but I didn't really injure myself. I've never broken a bone, knock on wood. Never had stitches.
Okay, so
No.
this
I
one
had
is the
one
big
other
one.
car accident. I have car accidents too.
Okay, what happened in that one?
That one we almost went over the San Mateo Bridge. That was the one I saw my life flash before my eyes. Like I started going through the stepping stones of big events.
Because the car was...
It was going over the bridge, and then she punched the clutch, and it popped back into traffic.
How long ago was that?
Like 20 years.
Okay.
And then...
Do any images come as you talk about it right now?
Just the water and the side of the bridge. Seeing, and the car going up. Because that was when I was like, oh, we're going into the bay. Shit.
Okay.
And it was also one of the first times that I had a psychic thing happen where I had enough intuition to know that this woman shouldn't be driving the car. And about 20 minutes before the accident, I was like, can you have her pull over so my friend who was closer with her could drive? And he's like, no, it'll be okay.
So you were in danger, and you probably had a really strong startle response that would have stiffened you up pretty strongly.
Yeah, definitely.
That could leave residues in your spine and in your back.
Definitely. And then there was one when I was really little in Lake Tahoe, where I almost went through the windshield.
Okay.
So there's those.
These things always show up in my work. These kinds of trauma events that maybe not happen, but you stiffen up so much that you tense something that doesn't unfold until we start working on it. That can happen. I don't know. Might not be. Let's go back to the latest car thing. What happened then?
It was at the Julia Pfeiffer Burns, right in front of the park where it banks. You go through the eucalyptus going south in that corner right there. A truck had pulled off the road to let us go by, but he pulled back on too fast and caught our car, flipped us on our side, and we went like this and then flipped back down.
On wheels.
Yeah. And then he left. It was a hit and run. And then I was diagnosed with a sprained neck. And then I didn't work as much, and that helped. And I healed pretty well. I feel good most of the time. Maybe 20 days out of the year I have a stiff neck that I didn't used to have.
Okay. Okay, so there's some residue there.
Oh, definitely.
Can you turn your head to the right and then turn to the left? What's it like? Right and left, okay?
Yeah, it feels good.
Okay, let's go on to other people then. Okay. How's your body today? What history have you bring to this class?
I got hit by a car
When?
when I was 17, 30, 40 years ago. And I had a screw in my ankle. So I've always had a hard time balancing because I don't have the same mobility. My left ankle is sensitive. So I always have to watch how I walk. And balance is especially, it's just hard for me to balance. I have to really be aware of how I walk, how I stand, just how I move, which sometimes gets the rest of my body out of balance because I compensate for that.
Watching how you move gets you out of balance?
Well, watching, I don't injure my ankle the way I move, throws other parts of my body out of balance.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you
I have to compensate for this injury to the rest of my body.
Yeah.
So,
could you stand up right now?
Sure.
When I'm asking these questions, start to roll your pants up to your knees about that. I'm going to also try to, help you start to see when you're looking at people, if you're a masseur or working with people, what.
Yeah, let's see, it's good.
Uh-huh.
I can't stand on his left leg very well. I have to support it.
Yeah.
Because it's very weak.
Okay,
but I've done well hiking, and I just have to be careful.
Now just come into standing with your feet about shoulder width apart. Close your eyes and just find time to come into balancing. Now, watch what his feet are doing. Watch what this is where it all starts, is this interaction with the floor under, and how we bring our skeleton and all of our balancing activities to bear here, starts here. We often don't start here in our consciousness. We start up here, and we're starting to find balance by shifting something around up here. But the basic thing is my work is about paying attention to how people are connected downward, and that any interference with clear downward connection will disturb balance upward, and there'll be compensations up in the higher structures. So now close your eyes and let your weight just come downward more into your knees, into your ankles, into your feet all together. As you stand there, just begin to. Now weight doesn't come down. When we've been sitting and we come up to standing, it doesn't come immediately through. We have to wake up to the interaction with the floor and with how you constantly are readjusting. So you see, never is still. That in a sense there's always something coordinated with something else to create a new balance. And as long as the information is coming from ideas and mental pictures of how you should be, you won't be in touch with what's under you, and you won't be in touch with what your balancing demands. So my job is to begin to coax you into feeling more where you're standing, how you're standing, and moment by moment, tuning into this very carefully, so that you start to leave your ideas about where you should be, and you start to feel what gravity wants to do with you and your skeleton. So let's have you sit down, and Lars, tell us what's up with you today.
Well, I've got the usual sore back right now. It was another good hard week of work, and it's probably my thoracic around 7 or 8 something between my shoulder blades. So it feels much better to lie on my back, like it did last week too. At this time of day, especially.
Okay, everybody take a rock and lie on your back like him with your knees up. And keep talking. Bring your knees up.
I guess my most recent trauma was that smack in the face with the tree limb last July, which was a good hard smack. You know, it cut my nose pretty bad.
Uh-huh.
That was unlike any other incident I've had because when I got the impact, there was just this tremendous ringing in my head, and then I had a lot of fear about it being really, really bad because I could see in the mirror that my nose was separated from my face. But not so.
Okay, everyone, let's do some silent work now. Everyone take your hands and bring your face in your hands. So look at me for a second. Have your hands kind of like this on your face. And just take some time now to let your thoughts and your sense of presence start to come together here now. As we start, this work is about becoming really tuned in to how you experience your present moment and how that develops into the next moment and on and on. So the first thing I want you to do is, can you begin to tune into how you're interacting with the floor and how your sense of your presence is interacting with the floor and your breathing and touching your face. And as you tune into these things, other things will become conscious. Just pay attention to what comes and goes in your awareness. Thoughts, imaginings, memories, plans, whatever. Just you're aware of yourself. What's beginning to wake up in you? What's beginning to wake up between your hands and your face? Can you pay attention to this as it emerges? Now in a moment I want you to get ready to go into the air away from your face and stretch your arms and fingers, refresh your arms and fingers in the air, and then come back to contact with your head and face. But when you feel ready, just take your hands away and stretch your fingers, stretch your arms. Open your hands up. Really stretch your fingers so your fingers are starting to feel more tonus. And stretch your palms. And now take a moment to become more sensitive to your hands landing on your face, and go ahead and land on your face as sensitively as you can. Paying attention to leaving room for your nostrils to breathe. And just landing and coming to yourself now in any way that's really sensitive to you. Only you know what this is, so do it your way. way down slowly until your whole hand, your palm, everything is in contact with some part of your face and head. Make sure there's room for your nostrils. If you're too close to your nostrils, you may be closing off air passages. Can you feel how important the passage of air is right now to your awareness, how it comes and goes? Can you feel it coming and going? And in feeling your air coming and going through the passages here, over the membranes, what's waking up in your head, in what you call your head, as you do this? Can you distinguish some thought from a sensation in your head? Maybe leave our thoughts in the background and you're seeking to tune into sensations in what you call your head, feeling anything that's alerted in you there or wakes up. What is it? And in a moment now, I want you to get ready to come away and bring your arms to landing on the floor a little away from your body. You're just resting your arms on the ground, on the floor. And come away in a way that allows you to keep on paying attention to how sensitive you are right now. What are you sensing as you come away? What's happening in your face and head? How do your arms want to come to landing? Letting your arms sink and land. Until they're where they seem to be best. Can you stay alerted in what you call your head now for what's going on? Can you feel the temperature of the air on your cheeks, on your eyelids? If you drift away into planning or rehearsing, come back to listening to me. It's okay, you've just drifted away. Come back and tune into lying and feeling yourself. Now bring one of your hands to your forehead and landing on your forehead quietly, feel if you can bring any more quiet to your thoughts, to your eyes, to the inner of your head by just touching your forehead somehow. With the full hand, your whole hand touches. What happens when you do that? Do your thoughts increase or decrease? Or just stay the same? what's beginning to show up now? If you pay close attention or stay tuned in, what you begin to experience of your presence, your breathing. Do you feel tensions in your body somewhere? Where is that? And bring your hand away again now. Just as you come away, can you stay attentive to waking up in your hand and head, just staying more and more that you're aware of feeling states rather than thought states. You're feeling your hand now. Can you feel your forehead now? Just tuning in to what you experience as sensation and weight and temperature, and letting your thoughts, your common identity and listening to your thoughts, let that drift into the background if you can. Now bring the other hand very delicately with just your fingertips, land on your lips, and stay there on your lips and notice what wakes up in your lower face when you do that. What you begin to feel. What wakes up in your lips. What wakes up in all of you when you do that. Keep your fingers just there. Don't move them around. Just touch and stay there. What happens? Can this help you be more aware of what you're doing with your mouth, what your jaw and tongue are like right now? Stay here as long as something is waking up and you feel you're bringing your sensitivity to the occasion now of touching yourself. When you've had enough of this, let your head come away. Can you be interested in your inner life that's occurring right now? Not necessarily listening to your thoughts or dreaming your dreams about projects. Can you enjoy your breathing right now? Feeling it coming and going. How is that to let the air come in? Feel that out. Can you bring your attention to bear in a way that you're really focused on how does an inhalation begin? What parts of you begin to react to getting ready to take an in-breath? If you don't help it, just what happens by itself? How does an in-breath begin? What parts of your body engage immediately? Can you feel that? it something deep in your pelvis? What is it? Can you feel it out? Be interested in this? How does an inhalation begin? What happens in your inner as you get ready for an inhalation, and as it begins, what happens innerly? Can you attend to this closely, sensitively now? Okay, now take yourself now into getting ready to stretch and sit up and to talk to me a little bit about what you've been experiencing. Take some time to stretch and yawn thoroughly and roll to the side, stretching. Take your time to just kind of awaken your whole torso as you get ready to come up to sitting. So, let's have some reports. Let me find out where you are and what that did for you. What happened for you?
It was a profound experience trying to differentiate between my thinking and being aware of sensing. What my senses were telling me, what I was feeling, instead of thinking. Before I was a lot more confused between what was what. It's getting sharper to be aware of the sensing part instead of just thinking about it. Which is really a discovery. It's nice.
Seymour, what happened?
Well,
What were you doing?
A lot of times I'm in my head,
What does
watching
that
my
mean?
thoughts.
I call that listening to your thoughts.
I was listening to my thoughts.
Mhm.
I find myself doing that. And then it's a new experience just to rechannel that awareness to what I'm actually feeling. What is my body telling me?
Right now.
Right now, yeah. So it kind of brought me back to the present.
Uh-huh.
And that was kind of neat. Because it showed me where I was drifting and not being aware of what was really happening in the moment. So paying attention to what I was feeling allows me to come back to the present more than what I noticed before. I was aware of that.
Right. So that's the whole lesson in this work, is the only way to be in the moment is to be starting to feel what you're experiencing in the moment and to leave the disassociation of listening, although you need listening, you need to have your thoughts also. How was it for you?
I found that putting my hand on my forehead really helped to quiet my mind. And it made me feel my mom, because she used to rub my head to put me to sleep. So that was really sweet, actually. I found like the longer we went, the less my diatribe was talking.
Okay.
And that since sensation coming into my face felt really good. Like feeling my fingers leave, feeling the air and the space, and then just all the different sensation as my hand moved away.
Mm-hmm. Really feeling a lot of sensation and differentiation.
Yeah, and temperature, kind of skin quality, I don't know, like what felt kind of slack and what felt held, or just the sensation of it, really not putting like words on it when I was feeling it.
Right, right.
So, yeah, it was good.
Lars?
Again, I kept going into that nice parasympathetic state. I was seeing the image and snapping out of it. I was very relaxed. My lips were super sensitive to the touch at first. And then when I lost the sensation, I just sort of melted. But at first it was like a very sort of ticklish feeling, very, very sensitive. I was sort of annoyed at having to hold for too long on my face because I get really sore in my shoulders. I'm annoyed, sort of irritable that I can't just do something that simple for a while. Yeah, I'm very comforted by having my hands over my face. I was trying to be really as detailed about feeling the contact as I could. I mean, just really tracking how the contact, how the feeling of the
Speak
contact,
up a little bit.
tracking how the feeling of the contact changed from moment to moment. Yeah.
Okay. How's your back and shoulders?
About the same.
What does that mean?
Stiff when I pay attention.
Where?
Well, I'm noticing my neck on the left side now. I guess I'm a little better.
Okay. Can you see the tension in his upper shoulders? It's a lot.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
muscle.
yeah, and it's in a continual state of tension. That's what he's complaining about. Is that there's so much here that you can see of over readiness, and that what we need to do is what I'm doing now is quieting down, cooling down, trying to give enough time so that the deep aggressions start to feel what's going on in your musculature that has to do with surges of some kind of power thing. And giving up that power, just trying to let yourself feel what gravity's doing to you. Okay, pick up a stone. Give me a stone. Everybody got a stone? Okay. Give me a stone, please.
Which one you want?
Anyone. Oh, this is a stone for you, Lars. I found it on the beach this afternoon.
Thank you.
It's your pocket stone.
Thank you.
Okay, pick up your stone. And bring it into the air so that your arm is away from your body. And now begin to feel what you have to change to keep this in the air. And go about changing it. You can change from hand to hand, but the task is to keep this, your arm free of resting against your chest like you're doing. Keep it out here. What has to change in the rest of you to do this? What has to start to coordinate with you to keep this weight out there? What has to wake up and start to tune into where do you find support with the floor, with your skeleton, with your form, to keep this going in the air. And as you go around with the stone, can you wake up more and more to what starts to tune in to how you're holding that weight and where does something in your back or your hips have to come into attention. How are you carrying your whole torso as you do this? What is happening in your back, in your rib regions as you do this? What wants to wake up? Keep your arm away from your torso. Yeah, that's right. This forces you to bring something new to bear and becoming more awake to sitting more appropriately, more accurately to what it is that has to wake up in your sitting. Follow that up. What has to wake up in your sitting so that you can carry the stone. You can shift arms if you want to. Who begins to start to wake up in your pelvis and your hips and your sitting bones? Who's starting to feel more of what goes on there now? Needs to happen in your lower body so you have more coordination with what you're doing with the stone. And keeping the stone in the air, arrange yourself so that you can come back to lying on your back, but you're keeping the stone in the air. As you come back to lying on your back, you're going to kind of slowly lower your spine down to the floor. But you're going to keep your arm free in the air, holding the stone, and giving you a cue to what needs to coordinate with what so that you can do this. Great. Fine, everybody do it differently. And when you land, keep the stone in the air without stiffening your arm, but just keep coordinating with what needs to coordinate with this weight. As you come to lying, what happens as you carry the stone here or there? You all have been pretty long with one hand. Change the hands now and do the other hand for a bit now. Just what wakes up now? Can you stay attuned to the weight, how gravity is pulling that stone, and how you resist that pull? Where does the resisting coordination come? Let the stone sink and then carry it up. Feel that out. What is letting the stone sink? And what is it for you to resist gravity's pull by lifting the stone? Try that out. Just learn about tuning into just how much effort lifts the stone and how much effort is too little to lift. How much effort is too much. Can you find the right place there where it's just right? Not overly dosing out my vitality, but I'm just enough so that I can carry the stone there. And now as you're tuning into this, becoming very sensitive. Stay with your sensitivity. Keeping the stone in the air, we're going to add a little more coordination. So make yourself ready to lift one of your legs in the air and go on being active with the stone, and feel now you're coordinating your torso, how you use the floor, and how does your spine come online now. And as you begin to lift your leg, what's happening in your back and torso as you do that? What needs to coordinate with the floor to lift? What can you wake up in your activity with the floor so that you're more in tune with the weight of the stone as well as the weight of your leg? And as you go into the air, can you begin to start to be more feeling about this, that you're really feeling lifting and landing. If you want to come back and land, fine. But lifting, keeping the stone and your leg as awareness. Don't forget your leg, don't forget your stone. Can you pay attention to how you're coordinating and coordinating with some weight through your torso, through your whole awareness, to lift this leg and the stone with consciousness, with sensitivity now. Try this out for a while, just feeling out what brings you more sensitively to this problem of staying awake, to balancing weight and coordinating with what's under you, with carrying weight, staying sensitive to how your skeleton, your structure is permitting or not permitting your weight to go here or there. After a while with one leg, then landing, feeling it out, what's happening in your pelvis when you land, what happens in your hips and lower back when you land. And switch legs and hands now. Try the other side, exploring, lifting, and paying attention to what happens with the floor and the length of your spine as you lift. Can you really tune into how you begin to push against the floor here or there, or find support from the floor through your back, through your head and neck, through your hips? What's coordinating there with the floor? And lifting. And then lifting your leg. Keep your leg going in the air until it, don't just let it rest in one place, but keep exploring. So we're working at feeling as acutely as possible what needs to change between me and the floor to bring this weight here or there. Can you pay close attention to that everything starts with you and the floor, moving your weight of your leg, moving the weight of the stone, feeling how coordination occurs for you. And now and then you may need to make a pause to stop the experiment, to stretch and yawn, or to refresh yourself if you need to do that also. Just keep going. Now and then, let's stop lifting the stone now, Attila, and let's just now come to having your feet both on the floor and the stone is resting. And I want you to 4 or 5 times carefully and consciously, conscious of coordinating with the floor, lift your pelvis off the floor and then land on the floor as softly as you can. 4 or 5 times. Just letting your landing take you a little deeper into yourself, that you're feeling, letting your sensitivity wake up as you land softly. Don't do it 1, 2, 3. Take your time. Take a pause. This sensory awareness, it's not calisthenics. So you're not trying to do as many as possible. You're trying to do each one as feelingly as you can. Give up pushing yourself. Allow yourself to land without pushing down. Can you do that? Landing and not creating some extra tension in your spine and back when you land, letting yourself land. If you're satisfied with your landing, can you feel that in your breathing? And can you tune into your inner heartbeat, your pulses right now, so that you're tuning more and more into your inner life and awake to its functioning, the passage of air coming and going, the kinds of throbs and pulses that can exist almost anywhere and everywhere in us. If you need to stretch, do it thoroughly, so it's not a just superficial stretching, it's a deep stretching. And by, bring your knees up, your feet on the floor, about shoulder width apart. Just feel out where is the most comfortable distance between your feet, so that your hips and thighs can exist. And you have some sense of that you have a hip. Can you feel that? That you have a hip? It's where your legs end. And now make yourself ready to touch yourself again in your forehead in a sensitive way. Be direct and clear. You don't have to hesitate. You can go directly to your forehead. Just touching and spending some time with yourself. Now, opening up, if you can, to what happens now by itself without you willing it or wanting it. Just letting yourself feel the subtleties that occur. Nothing special, just waking up. What happens when I touch myself this way? To my breathing, to my sense of presence. What happens? Now, as sensitively as you can, make yourself ready to leave your forehead and go back to the floor with this arm, and the other arm's going to come up and you're going to land on your mouth with your palm, just enclosing the lower jaw, the mouth, and you're touching with the whole hand your lower jaw and mouth, covering it. And gently find a way that this fits. And spend some time here. What wakes up? What's influenced by doing this? What happens to you? What begins to happen in your tongue, in your jaw, in your neck or shoulders? And as you touch yourself, can you find a nice balance in your arm and shoulders so that you're not beginning to create tension in your shoulders? If you do, then come away, completely away, and start over again. Start off with first getting ready to lift your arm and finding how you go to this place without creating tension in your shoulders. What happens? What coordination is necessary to function this way, to be here now, feeling what you're feeling, being present with your presence. What are you aware of? What's happening in the length of your back now with the floor? Where do you touch the floor? Where does the floor carry you? you becoming sensitive to now in yourself? Is that pleasant? Can you continue enjoying that pleasantness in your breathing, in the rest of you? Okay, that should be enough. Now stretch and yawn and refresh yourself and come up to sitting. And I'd like to hear what's been going on. So essentially, much of this work is about stopping you or teaching you to stop doing things, to like start to rest into non-doing. It's being in the here and now is something that you let happen. It's not something you can, let's say, set about doing. It's something that you let go of doing about. You become a being person. So I could see some of you entering those states, being, not doing.
What I enjoyed from this exercise is being sensitive to the economy of effort.
Right, that's cool. Huh?
When you were asking us to, can we just lift but not push too much?
Uh-huh.
I thought, gee, I'm doing that. Can I back off? When I did, I realized, well, I could save myself a lot of energy if I didn't just thrust myself.
Uh-huh.
So I'm starting to calibrate my movements because of that.
Right.
That's kind of a neat awareness.
Right, to measure out just like you could feel, like how much does this situation demand? We're playing with a stone right now, but it could be washing dishes or picking up a tree. How much does it demand?
Another experience I had, which was kind of novel, was as I was holding the rock with one hand and I was lifting my leg while I was on my back. I noticed if I moved my hand with the rock, I could watch my leg follow it. I was moving my leg by moving the rock. If that makes sense. I was trying to balance myself.
No.
In order to do that, my leg had to move the same distance that the
Right,
rock was.
yeah. What's happening is if I go like this, then this part of me has to compensate. So it's like as I'm moving, that I'm like, this part of me has to find the counterbalance place.
And what I was noticing was when I moved the rock, it moved my leg without me trying to move my leg.
Yeah, right. It's because your structure is carrying it through.
So I just noticed how things were tied together much more.
Yeah. Everything is connected to everything else in our gravitational structures. Part of the reason I don't have cushions here is part of my teaching is about to get you more inhabiting your skeleton in a culture that constantly is pushing you into cushions. You don't have firm connections so that you don't feel everything is connected to everything off unless you're dancing or something. How was it for you?
It was very exciting. Like you, I liked playing with how much effort I needed to use. And I kind of was playing with the edge of that, like using as little as possible. And then I noticed when we were lifting our pelvis, I've done so much yoga and dance, I have this like way that I do it. So I started playing with where else can I initiate the movement from. And I found some really exciting things, like using my legs more, and so that was fun.
I saw you playing with like moving and trying to like feel where this would go like that, right?
Yeah.
It's like feeling out counterpoise, kind of. You're feeling out where this
it.
what that does over here. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that feeling. That's pretty much it, I think. That was it.
Okay. Lars?
I was aware of how tired I am, I think, doing this exercise. I was aware of the weight of my hip bone, and that was the effort that when I was lifting my leg and my rock at the same time, that I could feel the contraction of my skeleton and the weight of my hip as my pelvis raised.
Uh-huh.
That was what I was tuned into. That's what I was tuned into.
Uh-huh. And you're tired.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? From anyone? Anything else?
I injured my hand doing something, some kind of move. And I'm noticing how much pain, not that it hurts, but how pain itself limits and brings our awareness to where it hurts.
Right?
So I'm watching myself move my hand without pain, so I know how much it's injured or it's not. So I'm just seeing how pain is a tool to bring your awareness to
To wake up more
injuries.
too.
Wake
yeah.
up, yeah.
To wake up. Like what we're doing is we live in a culture where the disassociation from our body and our sensations is so powerful that most of the time that we're not awake. To like when we start to tune in, we can become awake. But much of our culture is about tuning out, and it's a lot about tuning out and listening to an inner dialogue, an inner monologue. Part of that tuning out is that we're planning and feeling our regrets in the here and now without being engaged in our body as we do that. There's no way to tune out your thinking, your planning, your memories, all of that. Thought processes are part of what makes us humans. And we can learn, in a sense, that our thoughts are going to go on without us listening to them. You can start to stop using the sense of listening and to tune in to like, okay, how much pressure do I have against the floor right now? Can you do that right now? Close your eyes and see if you can experiment with this of, let's say you're listening to your thoughts. And can you become even more attuned to that, listening to your thoughts? We do this constantly, night and day, unconsciously. Do it consciously right now. Just listen to whatever thoughts running through your head. Is the voice that is uttering these sounds in your head, is it an urgent voice? Is it a consoling voice? How do those words sound? What emotional tone is in the message you're listening to? Is it urgent? Is it calming? Is it frightening? Is it calming? Can you now coordinate your sitting, and again, touch your mouth. Just bring one of your hands to, like me, watch me, just touching here. And if this touch you can touch yourself with, again, measuring out the effort does it take, because how much effort, how much coordination does it take to find the poise with the floor and your skeleton, with your sitting possibilities. Keep this touch here sensitive and alert. But you have to coordinate with your torso so that your arm can touch you here. Your hand can touch you here. And can your mouth and jaw, your tongue and throat, can it be encouraged to any softness? As you touch, can something relax in there that maybe you didn't realize was active? Your tongue perhaps could quiet and rest and begin to spread out in your mouth. And maybe the attempt to form words with your tongue, you let go of that for now. Is that possible? Try it out. What happens? Try to find it without leaning. Lie down. Lie down if your back is too much. You've got back problems. And now just come away. And find your sitting and find where does your sitting want to go now? Where does your lying want to go, Lars? Just take a moment to feel where is sitting now. You can let your weight go downward now, a little more into your sitting bones, into your hips and legs. Letting your weight come into coordination with your skeleton, your sitting bones, your hip bones, a big solid structure of your hips and pelvic bones. Feel that carrying you, giving you a connection with what's under you. Can you wake up to how massive that is, how heavy that is? It's really a big part of you. Let's say a big part of you, meaning this is where most of our weight gathers when we're sitting. Okay, so everyone lie down now. Just lie on your back and rest. Take a moment to stretch or yawn or just do nothing for a while. Can you be with your lying now, and even though thoughts are coming and going, can you let them come and go and know that you're listening? as your thoughts come and go, you're listening to them. How do you listen to them? With apprehension? With ease? How is it that you listen to the coming and going of your thoughts now? And can you feel how your breathing is listening to your thoughts? When we're listening to our thoughts, everything gets alerted to them. Now, bring your hand to your forehead and experiment with not listening to your thoughts. Instead, let listening be there, but you're paying attention to landing on your forehead and feeling what that brings to you, to land and to stay tuned into what you're feeling and how that might be different than listening to thoughts. What is the difference that you find? What's it like to feel something and let its subtleties continue to emerge, even if it isn't dramatic? It's just something that's there. Even if it has no meaning, it's just something that's there. It's your living here and now is there. If we could only let it happen. Can you let it happen now? Just being here now with everything that's going on. Thoughts, memories, plans, sensations, listening to your thoughts, not listening to your thoughts, touching yourself and being aware of what this is like to communicate with yourself, really feeling and staying with, I feel myself now. I'm awake to myself now. Can that be true now? And as you do that, can you be aware that the floor doesn't go away, the floor stays here? And your breathing stays here. Can you notice that? Now take some moments to begin to move yourself how you'd like to move yourself now, and just let yourself guide your movements now, stretching, yawning, doing nothing. But take a little while just to feel where you want to go now with yourself in movement. You're moving your whole body or parts of your body that just feel like you want to do this. Follow your own impulses. That's right. Just explore what feels good to you. Okay, come to sitting, and let's be winding up for today. So, I build experiments around your reports in the beginning. What's problems in your body? Like, a major thing is spinal problems. A major issue is back issues, or coordinating through your spine and back so that any experiment you make of someone lying on the floor is immediately an experiment with their back. And Lars has extreme tension in his back. And so just having him lay on the floor is very helpful. He can't sit very long. When he sits, his whole curl is like this. There's not really a coordination up and down yet. So you can't build an experiment with him with sitting. His pelvis is not active yet, and it's a bowed back, so you have to use the floor then. So, and that's what I'm doing now, is letting him have the support of the floor, because when he's standing or sitting, he's constantly fighting his gravitational orientation. He doesn't know where to get coordination, and all of this gets really overactivated, so I'm trying to get him to quiet down and stop trying to support of the floor, because when he's standing or sitting, he's constantly fighting his gravitational orientation. He doesn't know where to get coordination, and all of this gets really overactivated, so I'm trying to get him to quiet down and stop trying to force his back into place. Try to let his back go into place. Your jaw had issues I brought in with this touching of your mouth. Did it bring anything to you?
It feels a lot softer. It made me more aware of where my tongue was
Mm-hmm.
and how my jaw was resting or not resting.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like my thoughts, like, it'd come into my thinking mind, and then I'd quiet, and same thing with my jaw, I'd come into the awareness of it, and then it just drift away, come back. allowed to move how I wanted to move after the work. Felt really good.
What happened in doing that?
I just found kind of new pathways for my body to experience like muscular pleasure, like where it feels good.
Uh-huh.
Just kind of
Great.
like new ways of finding them.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, just trying to get out of my way. So much of movement for me has always been like, how does it look? What does it feel like? You know, are you doing it right? So this is really good for me because it just allows me to be
Right.
from that and just in my body more.
Great. And you can pick up on that being that much training where most of it is after an image,
Yeah,
and you don't get to really feel where your balance really is.
it's true.
So great.
I like the fact that you can only be aware of your senses, what you're sensing in the present.
Right. You can't really go into the future.
Or the past.
Uh-huh.
It really brings you to the present by being aware of your senses.
Uh-huh.
So if you put our attention on something, that's what we're aware of. We're totally in the present.
Well, in the sense that we can't escape planning and memory. That all comes also. And in our culture, those things dominate the foreground of our awareness so that the sense of sensory presence is not awakened or tuned into or included. I like better included.
I like the fact that whenever I want to get into the present, I just have to be aware of what I'm doing.
Right.
You know,
That's
I
exactly
do that
it.
through sensing, whether you're feeling the weight of a rock, how you're moving, how you're sitting,
Yeah.
present.
That is the key to all, let's say, reflective meditation practices. It's evoking introspection. It's evoking a mirroring. You start to check what's going on at this level, and then that leads to the next level of subtlety and more attunement, let's say, just to keep paying attention. Where does that lead me? What coordination is necessary? And how am I reacting? Letting yourself become engaged with something in the environment, gravity, an object like a stone, and also now, can I stay open to all my reactions to this? Psychological, but psychological begins to not really be here when I start to just feel how much effort is that? And where do I have to coordinate to do that? Well, what is happening mostly for me is down here with the floor. My legs are starting to find little subtle adjustments so that when and my pelvis is sitting perched on my sitting bones, and everything is like coordinating so that my spine can be here under my arm here. Nothing is forced. Nothing is like in the question of how much effort does this take? How much effort does it take from my arm? And when I start to feel that, I have to feel, oh, and that's connected to what? And that's connected to what? And it all keeps coming back to the floor. All of this is connected to what I'm sitting on, so that my skeleton can find the right architectural balance so that I can coordinate to lift this with the least effort. Okay, Lars, how was it for you?
I thought it was kind of funny that when I tried to notice my thoughts, because you gave that suggestion, nothing was coming up, and so I was fishing for thoughts, and then the first things that came to mind were resentful thoughts, of course.
just tonight is an achy night. I didn't self-adjust as well as I did the last sensory awareness practice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm present to it, but I don't have a lot
Yeah.
of analytical feedback
Yeah.
coming through.
You look like you're very uncomfortable in your back. Is that true?
Well, I'm always adjusting to get to escape that discomfort.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is that to me and to you as body workers, can you see how he is uncomfortable in his back? He's like really showing that there's really something amiss here.
At this point, I'm not uncomfortable. I mean, just holding myself like this, I'm not really feeling it.
And to an eye expert, I always see that you're struggling.
Yeah.
It's
See
very
you're
obvious that you're
compensating
studying.
And you're
Yeah. It's very obvious that your whole torso is in a
protective
kind of
mode.
protective alert.
Yeah. Well,
So when you see that, the only thing you can do is give it support, like lay it on a massage table or something like that, and do as much as you can, so that please don't try to pick yourself up stuff and put yourself together stuff. Okay, so last week we got more freedom for Lars's back, and it seems like, so this is as far as we could go today. I would say take some time the next 2 days to lie on your back more. Just try to give yourself rest. Okay, so it's about 7.